Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible. Rated PG-13, now on sale where video cassettes are sold.
After you see the movie, you may want to pick up a book.
Mission Impossible is a 1996 American action spy film directed by Brian De Palma and produced by and starring Tom Cruise, from a screenplay by David Cope and Robert Towne, and a story by Cope and Steve Zalian. It is a reboot of the 1966 television series of the same name and its 1988 sequel series. It is the first installment of the Mission Impossible film series.
Easier because he's so enthusiastic about that work he does. He gives you 100% each time.
He was always very concerned with the performance within the stunt, and then he would go and do it himself.
Because the weight of the water, the framework around where he was going through was solid steel, so we had to be so precise in the way he went through that window. I think it was probably one of the most rehearsed jobs I ever done on a picture.
You know, he's sitting there waiting to get through this glass plate with this right above him, this, you know, tons of water that's going to come cascading down from above him and behind him. Enough to literally, you know, wash you into next week.
Well, they done a shot of him running away, water just rushing out after him with all the false lobsters and everything in Prague. So you got the outlook of Prague in the background, but looking at the restaurant was at Palmer Studios.
So what happened is that they blew the tank out behind me first. So you hear 1, 2, and on 2, the tank behind me blew out, and then 3. So it took everything in my power to stay there for 3.
It was an epic thing, and Tom's timing had to be perfection.
I was nervous. Guy came up to me, you know, he said, look, you know, I'm gonna count to 3. He said, don't go on 3.5. He said, I'll be watching you, but I'm gonna count to 3, and on 3, that's when I'm gonna do it, okay? And I said, hold it. 1, 2, 3, go, or 1, 2, go.
This is the Mount Everest of hacks.
Inside CIA headquarters at Langley.
Relax. It's much worse than you think.
And you really think we can do this?
We're going to do it.
Some of the most riveting sequences in the film are actually part of that sequence, and it's not a question of blowing anything up. It's Brian De Palma's superb expertise at creating tension.
It's very difficult to hang straight out like that. It takes a tremendous amount of muscle control. Tom was able to do this and bring a kind of reality to it, and kind of will really sort of grab the audience as you see the terrific tension he's under.
To be honest with you, everything on that film, I think that was the hardest he worked on the film, was just doing that, because, you know, coming down all that way upside down, hanging there through the whole shot upside down and doing the turnover. And he worked so hard keeping the balance.
That was very difficult, actually, because you're hanging upside down for a long period of time. I don't know if you've ever done that, you know, it can make people nauseous. But the most difficult part of that is there was a point where I dropped down.
And it was all done by hand and weights. He just had 2 guys on there that, you know, feeding him up and feeding him down, just stopping him. We had all little marks on it, you know, so when we dropped, it had it tied off to a mark, so it dropped and it was there each time.
Now that looks effortless, But that was a really difficult stunt, and if you drop him too far down, that's not good, because he was coming fast down. If you drop him too high up, it's not as dangerous. So finding the perfect blend there is challenging, and that, I think, is one of the hardest stunts that Tom's done.
Why Mission Impossible? What was it that triggered your fancy about this particular idea?
It's asking for to be made, I felt, into a feature film. You know, you have this half-hour series on television back in the 60s, early 70s, and I thought I could just picture the trailer, you know, and the story, and it's the intrigue. It was just there for me. You know, you could take it anywhere. You could take it any place.
It's much worse than you think.
Yes. You know, that was one of the things I thought was going to be a lot of fun in this movie, and Brian designed the sequences. I could do my own stunts, you know, and have a little fun with that stuff. And Brian designed the sequences so that I could do pretty much 95% of my own stunts. And then we got to the that sequence.
And you have how much water coming at you at this point? I mean,
tons, and big
literally.
chunks of glass. So I thought, you know, I think I got to get up, break through the glass, hit this mark, fire the one it has, and then go. Went over to Brian, I said, look, man, I said, I can't break through that glass first. You see, I'm an actor, you know. You know, I will stand there and do everything in my power when that first one goes. But when he just kind of looked at me, he started laughing.
You can understand you're very upset. Kittredge, you've never seen me very upset.
I'm telling you, I was there. And that camera's on me, and it's dark. Now everyone's on the set. You know, there's, I don't know, a bunch of people came from around to see me get creamed. You know? And he said, 1, and 2, that tank blew behind me. I just had to keep saying to myself, stay there. I mean, I could feel the glass hitting the back of my legs, and you know, I had this coat on the back of my coat. I could feel the water coming around. I'm thinking, 3, man, 3. Where's 3? Where's 3? It was like 3, and then bam! I hear the thing explode above me, and I was gone, and there was just a wall. I mean, it was a wall. I could feel the chunks of glass hitting me. I also had to go and jump over a guy who was out there with the furniture and everybody else following behind me. You know, it was exciting, though. I enjoyed it.
Exciting,
you know?
on film.
I enjoyed it. It was fun.
That's great, because so often an actor will say, oh, well, it was really nothing. And you're going, oh, but it looks like, no, it was exciting. You just
No, it was exciting. Yeah. It was exciting.
And then the helicopter and the train and the wind tunnel. Now, I was reading in the production notes or someplace that there were a lot of people said, Tom, you can't have a 170-mile-an-hour wind tunnel, for Pete's sakes.
They were trying. It took us a while to figure it out, and I skydived, so I said, look, get flight skydiving simulator, let's get it here, rig it up and see what we have. We tried jet engines, we tried Ritters, these guys worked months trying to figure this thing out, because I wanted the distortion on the face. You got a high-speed train, I didn't want the wind just blowing my hair, and when they fired that thing up, they did a great job of rigging it, because I was hanging on. You were hanging on to that thing. You know, it was exciting. We felt like, you know, a kid up there doing all this stuff. It was great.
Where do you really draw the line between wanting to do something, the challenge of it, but the real sense of this could be dangerous? How do you draw the line?
Well, it was dangerous, but it was fun, and you do everything you can to make it as safe as possible. But I mean, you could walk across the street and get hit by a car.
Bien sûr, j'aime la série télé, mais je n'ai pas fait le film uniquement parce que j'étais un fan de la série. Je l'ai fait surtout car je pensais que ça pourrait faire un long métrage divertissant. Je me suis dit, voilà un film que je voudrais voir. On n'a pas souhaité imiter la série, on a plus voulu s'en inspirer. Et vraiment, j'ai vu l'opportunité de construire une histoire intéressante, unique, à travers laquelle on pourrait se servir des technologies de pointe qu'on a l'habitude d'utiliser aujourd'hui. J'étais très excité à l'idée d'avoir Jean Reno et Emmanuel Béard dans le film. Je les admire tous les deux. J'ai vu Emmanuel dans Manon, qu'elle interprétait avec Daniel Auteuil. Elle y était vraiment superbe. Et vraiment, lorsqu'elle a dit qu'elle était intéressée pour faire le film, j'étais ravi. Avec Jean Reno, ça s'est fait de la même façon. Vous savez, on discutait avec Brian De Palma, le réalisateur, et on a décidé de faire un vrai film international, pas seulement américain. Car dès qu'on a commencé à bosser sur Mission Impossible, on s'est interrogé sur la guerre froide et sur le fait que ça concernait surtout les Américains. On a préféré élargir le sujet en transposant le tout dans les années 90. On a voulu laisser le Jim Phelps de l'époque pour voir qui il pourrait être aujourd'hui. On a transposé l'action à Prague en prenant des membres de l'équipe qui travaillent avec des gens issus des quatre coins du monde et pas seulement des États-Unis.
Il est sérieux?
Toujours. J'avais pas forcément envie d'un film américain. C'était pas mon truc. J'avais surtout envie d'arrêter. Et je me suis dit, bon, maintenant ça va, j'ai enchaîné 2 films, une pièce de théâtre, 2 films. Je suis crevée, je vais rentrer chez moi, c'est l'heure de rentrer chez moi. Et puis tout d'un coup a débarqué cette espèce de bonhomme immense, une espèce de gros nounours, bourré d'humour. Et j'ai eu envie, encore. J'ai eu encore envie. Je me suis dit, bon, merde, je veux rentrer chez moi, mais je peux pas passer à côté de ce type-là, je ne peux pas. Et c'est pas parce que c'est un film américain, c'est pas parce que c'est Tom Cruise, c'est pas parce que... C'est vraiment parce que j'ai rencontré Brian De Palma et qu'il y a quelque chose qui s'est passé.
J'ai pas eu l'outrecuidance de penser que je pouvais prendre la place des acteurs américains. Non, non, je vois pas du tout les choses comme ça parce que j'ai été prévenu, j'allais dire, par la vie. La vie m'a pas fait de cadeau au départ. Et donc je vois ça comme... j'ai une image assez simple, c'est un type qui joue au tennis correctement. Et donc on va vous inviter à faire des tournois. Alors vous allez être tête de série numéro 17 et puis peut-être un jour vous allez arriver à tête de série numéro 8 et ainsi de suite. Et c'est comme ça que je suis arrivé aux États-Unis parce que je pense qu'ils considèrent que je joue correctement un certain tennis.
Toute l'opération était un piège. Vous êtes énervé, je m'en rends bien compte. Vous ne m'avez encore jamais vu quand je m'énerve. Cette cassette s'autodétruira dans 5 secondes.
Mission Impossible had its US premiere on May 20th, 1996, with the London premiere being on 4th of July, 1996.
And that's where we're going to begin with Bob Goen and Julie Moran.
Bum bum ba bum bum ba bum bum ba bum bum ba.
If you're a star in Hollywood, these are the nights you live for.
And this Mission Impossible premiere is huge, even by Hollywood standards.
I think they'd have to give out Oscars to get this kind of a crowd. We've seen Jodie Foster and Sir Anthony Hopkins tonight.
Sharon Stone, Christian Slater, but the man who is truly on a mission is right in the middle, Tom Cruise.
Hello? Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman! Here he comes!
You must be so incredibly excited about tonight.
Yeah, I am. Nervous and excited. You know, it's, I never get used to these things, but I'm excited.
This whole operation was a decoy.
Nicole, does it make you more nervous to watch your own premiere or to watch his premiere?
I think, I mean, all of them are kind of nerve-wracking,
right.
But yeah, I've seen the movie a couple of times now, so I'm not that nervous tonight. It's a good movie.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Arnold! Look at this, Antonio Sapato Jr. Ladies and gentlemen, Sharon Stone!
Now, is it easy to come to a premiere like this when you're not the star?
Yeah, it's great to come when you're not a star. No risk, no problem. It's great. The movie's fabulous.
Dun, 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 dun. Are you kidding? This thing's gonna go through the roof.
I've been looking forward to seeing this movie for a long time. Oh, it feels like a year, you know, so I'm very excited about it.
I've been a fan of Mission Impossible for forever, and it's so nice to see it, and it's so nice to see the carpet and see it real Hollywood style. It's fun. I don't get to do this a lot.
Tom's a buddy, right?
Yeah, he is. It's how I always try and come out and see whatever he does. He's somebody I've known for many years and who I think really tries hard and is really focused and serious and all of that.
Tom, apparently he was going to do Sabrina and he passed, so I owe the guy like about a $10,000 check.
Thank you, Tom.
Tom, thanks.
Never worked with him.
No, but you would.
Well, when's that going to happen?
Oliver Stone said he may put us together in something. Next year, maybe. I don't know.
That sounds good.
Bum, bum, ba-dum. Beedaloo, 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 ba-dum.
Now the action is really getting ready to heat up here at the Mission Impossible premiere.
Yeah, there's an alley back there where a party is going to go on that it's the size of which you've never seen before. And Mark Steinis and Jan Carl are there, and they're on party watch.
Thanks, Bob and Julie. Let me tell you, when Tom Cruise throws a party, he knows how to throw a party. I mean, no expenses spared. The whole A-list of Hollywood is here.
As champagne is flowing, the dance floor is rocking. I'll tell you what, and we are in the middle of it all. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, yeah. The cruise control is set on high. You come here and they're playing the tunes and you're just like...
And the party kicked into overdrive when the man of the moment arrived right after the premiere.
So how did it go? Good? Well, you got to ask everybody else, see what they thought. You know, it doesn't matter what I think at this point.
In fact, everyone was giving Tom's performance the big thumbs up, including Martin Landau, a star of the original TV series.
It took a lot of turns that kept me interested, and that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, great action.
I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. I honestly loved it. It's a great movie. I mean, it is unbelievable.
It's going to be huge. Tom Cruise is great.
And some of the stars were even starstruck themselves.
Entire interview, I'm just going to be standing here like this. Ellen is in awe.
I met Shirley MacLaine, and I met Tom Cruise, which is like, you know, a dream come true for me to meet people like that.
Our mission here, and we did accept it,
We did.
was to interview all the stars.
And you know what, Mark? I think we accomplished our mission.
Yes, we
John and Mary, you can now disavow all knowledge of this, but Mark and I, we're going to go party now.
See you later.
Bye.
This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
All right, what are my spotters? What's your name? Kevin, how did you win tickets? You win a friend? What happened? Are you having a good time? Tom Cruise is the man. All right, you guys get ready. This is coming really good.
I can't.
So what do you guys think of this? Is this something great, huh? Can you guys see and hear over there? Okay? How about you guys? We should start the wave. What do you think? I'm Bob Goer. Hey,
see it. Who's your favorite star tonight? Tom, I guess. Yeah, Tom. Goes without saying. How long have you been camped out there? 3 hours? No kidding. It's worth it though, huh? You bet.
Tom, can you go this way, please? Just this way. Hold it there.
I found the movie. I think, I decided I wanted to make a picture about Mission Impossible, and I found out that Paramount had the rights, and I said, let's go do it.
It's all right, I've got
She has a little bit of Australian, a little bit of English, a little bit of American.
I think you've got sequences such as the CIA sequence. There's wonderful suspense in the picture. Worked very hard on coming up with unique ways of creating suspense. And I think it's a challenging movie. It's not a picture that you should get up and run to go get popcorn a million times, because it's got a fairly in-depth story, and I think that audiences enjoy that. Yeah, a bit of the American abroad here, but and I enjoyed here. My wife and I are going to make another picture this fall with Stanley Kubrick in London. They've got wonderful technicians and crews here, so I was excited to come here and make the movie.
back here in the car.
So, what was it about Mission Impossible that made you want to do this movie?
I felt that there's so many different things you could do with this project, different worlds you could go see, and I just thought it would be a lot of fun. It was a movie that I wanted to see. And with today's technology, it allowed us to, you know, hopefully create a new experience for an audience. And the tough thing was really pounding out the story, and essentially we had the structure of the piece, and Brian had designed the set pieces for the movie, and just the fun, the twists and the turns that you expect in the series, and that you know, trying to update that and make it modern, and you know, have that Topalmian edge. It was challenging. It was a lot of fun.
This looks like a job I think you could do in real life.
It's kind of a fun job, you know, in the movie, when you're looking at the movies. I don't know about real life. You know, I was looking at the Bay of Pigs last night on A&E. I thought, oh man, that's not a good place.
Tell me about Ethan. What do you like about him?
Well, he is a guy who, he's a resourceful guy, and you know, I enjoyed playing a character who speaks different languages, and you know, resourceful. His resourcefulness. It's a lot of fun.
Makeup's real good in this movie too.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it. You know?
Yeah,
a lot of hours in that chair going through that stuff.
So this is your first time out as a producer. The theater gets dark. Here it comes on the screen. Now, do you see it differently? Do you think, God, I could have done that scene cheaper? It took us 2 days to get that scene. What goes through your head as a producer as opposed to just being the actor?
What's nerve-wracking enough is the actor. I think as a producer, you know, you're going through and thinking, God, you know, it's both exciting. You know, first I wipe the sweat from my brow and sit there and go, you know, well, it's yours, you know, to the audience, and I'm excited about this. I think I've seen it only twice with an audience.
Were you there last night?
No.
Okay.
No, I was working.
Okay.
You know, until about 11 o'clock last night. So, but it's exciting and nerve-wracking at this stage. But you know, I feel very proud of the movie. I feel proud of what Brian has done and what he brought to this picture, and proud to have worked with him, and also Paula, who's been there right from the beginning of my career. It's a lot of fun. I'm happy the film's done, and now I'm like, let's just get it out there, get it done.
Well, there's the talk, you've talked about it, the tension on the set chat that's been going around. Tell me a little bit about that. You said when you make a movie, that's what it is. That's part of the process of making that diamond, that tension.
It's a relationship you have. You know, you're with the director, you're with this guy 6 days a week. You know, you try not to bother each other on Sunday, but there's times on Sunday the calls are coming in and the pages are coming in, and producing a movie is problem solving, and certainly directing a movie is problem solving, and acting a movie. But on the big scale of producing, you know, there are, you know, a lot of issues that we had to go through, and we developed the script together, and you know, but it was, you know, I feel strongly about certain things, but it was always, listen, if Brian said, I can make this work, this, you know, I really feel strongly about it, he was like, okay. And it was, you know, it was never to the point of tension, it was never to the point of, you know, screaming at each other and going to trailers. It's, we want to make a great movie, okay? You've done this a long time, Mr. De Palma, and I've done this for a few years myself, and I have a great deal of respect for him as a filmmaker, and I was, you know, very excited when he said he wanted to direct this movie, and I think he is masterful suspense and his epic vision that he has as a filmmaker. And I just look at what he do in Russia and I think, man, this guy's good. You know, he is really, really good, and he's very dedicated. So sure, you talk about a scene, and what was nice about it, and what's nice about making movies is, you know, everyone comes in with a point of view, and you're striving to make it better. It's not about I'm right and you're wrong for me. It's about let's make this scene the best scene we can make it. Let's make this movie the best movie we can make it. And when you're at that point, it's not about egos. It's about let's make this movie great. And and he's a director. And so that's what it was like. Yeah, there's times tension, but we were on the same ship, you know, sailing the same direction. But I think it helped make the picture a better movie, and that's the goal. It's what's discouraging to me when reports get out that, I mean, there's so much in today. It's just so much churning. I mean, I think some of these people sit in a room and say, okay, let's someone calls up, who is this person? Oh, that's our source. Let's go and let's run with it. Let's twist it this way and make it that way. And it was not true. But
tell me about the stunts. I'm sitting out there watching this wall of water come blowing out of this restaurant.
Oh man!
Did Nicole ever say, Tom, what are you doing?
There were a couple of nights we were laying there, and she said, Paula called and told me what scene you're shooting. Are you okay? You got 2 kids.
Yeah, the stuff, and I mean the train sequence.
She's very sweet, though. Yeah. I was, sweetheart, and I think she kind of likes it too. She's a woman. She gets in that airplane with me, and I can fire it up, and she kind of likes it. But that was fun. That sequence. That actually was. Probably when I get dragged along the train was the most dangerous, and certainly when these explosions went off, it was everything in my power to stand there when that because there's a special effects guy. He says, "Look, when I count to 1, that's going to explode. When I count to, I think it was when I count, I'm going to say 1, 2. On 2, that's going to explode. On 3, the one above you is going to explode. So, when you hear you run like crazy, And I thought, man, I said, and he says, now it's going to be a big explosion. I'm thinking, how am I going to stand here for this first, when you hear an explosion, it's all your, muscles are going, let's go. So, but we got it in 1. I didn't want to have to reshoot it.
That's not what you want to go back to.
I'm looking over at Brian going, look at this, man. But it was fun, though. It was fun.
Tom, we've talked many times before. I asked you before, Risky Business sequel? No. Top Gun sequel? No. At the end of this movie, there's a little window of opportunity. Might this become a franchise? Because there are more stories to tell.
I don't know with this. It would all depend on the material, what we could come up with. It is in a rich environment. You could take it anywhere. You could do anything with this, and that's how I felt about it. So I'm not sure. It would all depend on the material, whether we can really not be redundant with it and see what we can do, but I'm sure Paramount wants to go on. So.
Absolutely. They were asking me in the hall.
Were they? They asked Tom, see if we can get on film. They would send the tape to him, I'm not sure.
You said a quote of yours, I like living in the red zone. What is the red zone and why do you like living in it?
It's about 2,900 RPM. I like going places I've never been before, and I mean that emotionally, physically. With Nick and I, we enjoy traveling. That's one of the things. It's this life is kind of an adventure, and has been an adventure in my life in a lot of ways, and so I get excited by that, by playing different characters, and I enjoy it when I see movies. I sit down there, Friday night, Nick and I, and it gets dark, and we're watching pictures, and you see how actors push beyond what I've seen before, and I enjoy that, watching them and thinking, how the hell did they do that? God, it amazes me, and I want to go there. I want to try that, and I don't know. That's for me. That's life. I'm interested in it. With people and my work, and I think both kind of feeds that.
Tell me about Daddy Cruz.
Daddy Cruz, man.
Do you change diapers?
I don't know why people are surprised when I tell them I change diapers. What are you going to do? You're out there, the kid, it's there, you got to handle it, he's looking up at you. I don't know who else is going to do it.
Now, are you a right-handed? Is the head over on this side or the head of the baby on the right?
I like it on the left side.
Okay.
But they kind of make the decision where they want to go, and you say, all right.
Did you sing lullabies to your babies when they were little?
That would keep them up if I sang. You do all that. I read stories all the time, Nick and I. Two actors. What are you going to do? You play. We play the characters. It's you just go through it, and then it's a lot of fun.
What's the most important thing about being a parent?
I think just loving them. What I'm trying to do is just protect them and allow them to find their own identity and not have it dictated to them or told by, it's a different thing being, I think, the child of celebrities that get attention from the press. And we try to really protect them and allow them their privacy so that when they grow up they can decide for themselves who they are and without it, this is how you should be, or how this is who they are, this is how you are, and I don't know, you just see them, they've got their personalities and their stuff going on. I just think being there for them, really being there for them, and just laying down a lot of love, giving them every shot in the world.
You talked about your childhood, some tough times. Did that make you more determined to be a better pop now that you are a dad?
There was also, there's a lot we went through. It was a lot of fun, too. A very close family. And there's a lot of love there. And so I think I had that foundation there also, with but I don't, there's things that there's things I hope I do as well, and Nick has a very close family and very close with their parents, so, and but I just want to, just allow them to be themselves. I think we'll see in about 20 years how it goes. I don't know.
When a pitcher has a 20-game season, at the end of the season, they say, how'd you do it? And he says, well, my fastball was working, my curve was working. You've had quite a few 20-game seasons. Why do you think it's been working? Why do you keep bringing people back into the theaters?
I have no idea. I think, and I appreciate the journey they've the rides they've come on with me, and I just I've been making the movies that I would like to see as an audience, and I don't know, they just keep coming. I don't know why, but I appreciate it because I make the movies for them. It's allowing me to make the pictures that I want to make, and they've been very generous.
Let me ask you this: what are your strengths? What do you do well?
God, what do
That's a tough one, but I mean, the things you know that you have to work on. But what do you think you do well?
Commit. I think what I do well is I can commit to something, and what I mean by that is commitment to a piece, and I think I can't help it. I get interested in something, and I just want to know everything about it, and I think at the and it's not an effort thing. I enjoy what I do. I really am lucky because I have something that I enjoy doing. It's never left me. That when I'm working on a scene and you're working with this actor and all suddenly you just see them do something that that you've never seen, and I don't know, you're off camera and you know what I mean, it's like you're there and you see all that stuff happen. And the director comes in and it's more than what he thought the scene was going to be. It's a gratifying feeling to be able to be creative in that way, and it's so I think maybe I don't take anything for granted in that area, and I think maybe that's one of the things I do well.
Stand by, here we go. Exactly. We have speed.
How'd you like producing? Were there ever times when you just said, this is too much, doing both of these?
Is it too much? There was a couple of days there that I thought, before we started shooting, and but I enjoyed it. I enjoy solving problems, and it's very satisfying. You come up with an idea, you bring everyone together, and you start seeing it come to life, and that level of creativity was exciting.
Was it more satisfying than just acting?
No, acting is very satisfying also, in a different way. For this kind of picture, I'm glad I was involved with every part of it. Sitting down with Brian, it just made it more fun for me. I've made a lot of movies, and I was ready for this transition. This is, I remember I was talking with Paula one day, and we were like a few weeks away from shooting, and it just dawned on me. I said, this is actually the biggest movie I've ever been involved in terms of production. So I didn't realize how big the picture was going to be when I said, "Oh, let's make a movie about Mission Impossible. Let's go make that movie." And all of a sudden we have all these huge action sequences and traveling from the locations that we had, and it was an adventure making this picture. That's for sure. I must say I enjoyed it. It was a lot of pressure, but it's strange, but I kind of enjoyed that.
That's great. What stunt was for you the most difficult, or what special effect was the most difficult to pull off?
To pull off in what way? Technically, physically?
Physically.
Parts of the CIA were the toughest, actually. When I'm hanging there, I don't want to give the story away, but when I'm lying parallel to the floor, that physically, the amount of time it took to get there and to try to balance myself, I wasn't really balanced that well, so there are a few times you hit the ground and you're holding that position. It was exhausting. We finally, Brian was ready to say, okay, I'm going to have to divide this into 2 different shots. He talked to me about it because I was getting really exhausted and it wasn't working. And I thought, hang on, okay. I know there's only so much fuel left in my body before I'm going to have to, take a break. And I said, let me put some, in London they have the pound, the coin. So I had them hook me up, hang me, put a couple of pounds in each shoe, and just to balance myself, because I kept falling and smacking my head on the floor. Just couldn't balance it. I mean, physically, I just couldn't do it. And then finally, when we did it, I got it fairly balanced. I said, okay, let's try it. And Brian said, all right, let's try it, action. And I'm telling you, after we'd spent probably all of the morning, we went into a late lunch to try to get this shot. And I'll never forget, I'm telling you, I dropped down, and I'm just hanging there and hanging. I don't want to give it away, but I'm hanging there and hanging there and hanging there. And it worked. And Brian just left me hanging there just to get we had 3 different cameras going. And finally he said, okay, cut. And I just went, was a great feeling though when you got it, you know, and Brian came over and gave me a hug, said, all right, man, let's go, you know.
Great.
Lunch.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it.
Sync. There is no doubt who has Mission Impossible's top billing, Tom Cruise, but there's an ace cadre of actors supporting him. They play the operatives on Tom's team of spies, headed up by John Voight.
We're being ambushed. Abort, that's an order.
This is going to knock your socks off. It's going to be a movie that everybody's going to like. It's Tom's movie, and he's great in it.
Hello? French star Emmanuelle Béart made a big splash at the movie's premiere, but when she auditioned for Cruise, she knew practically no English.
I was just looking, staring at him, you know. I really wanted to do it, but I just couldn't speak. But that wasn't the problem, apparently. You said it yourself. If I'm not dead, I'm with you.
It was apparently not a problem for Tom.
I think it's a new Tom in a certain way. I think it's a romantic Tom. Simple game.
Another of Tom's operatives, Ving Rhames, had never had a role like this one before.
I play a computer whiz. Tom Cruise and I, we really have a very good chemistry together.
Tom goes toe-to-toe with Henry Czerny in the film.
The couple waltzing around me at the embassy at 9 and 11. The waiter standing behind Hannah at the top of the stairs.
Czerny is the CIA chief. He also provides a very important voice.
This is your mission, should you choose to accept it.
I was thrilled because, you know, my brother and I would do it all the time. Your mission, should you decide to accept it.
Good luck, Jim.
For his part, Mr. Cruise, the producer, is proud of what he pulled together.
It's something that I felt ready to do. I felt I could be a good producer, and I welcomed the challenge.
Mission Impossible was theatrically released in the United States by Paramount on May 22nd, 1996. The film received generally positive reviews from critics, with praise for the action sequences, De Palma's direction, and Cruise's performance, but criticism for a convoluted plot.
Good morning, Mr. Phelps. This is your mission, should you choose to accept it. Should you or any member of your IM force be caught or killed, the Secretary will disavow all knowledge of your actions. Ethan Hunt will be your point man, as usual.
Tom Cruise leads a team of spies in Mission Impossible, a solid adaptation of the 60s TV show thanks to Brian De Palma's creepy and exciting direction and the absolute conviction of Tom Cruise himself in the lead role. And it is the standard Tom Cruise role. Just like in Top Gun, Cocktail, and Days of Thunder, Cruise plays a gutsy guy with a stubborn streak that more than matches his technical expertise.
We're being ambushed, Ethan. Abort, that's an order.
Negative. Galitzin is on the move.
No, damn it, no! I said abort!
Cruise's assignment is to recover government files listing all of its secret agents worldwide. But in tracking this information, Cruise stumbles into a nest of double dealers, and his integrity is questioned too by his own boss, played by Henry Czerny.
Let's see if you can follow me around the room. The drunk Russian's on the embankment at 7, 8 o'clock. The couple waltzing around me at the embassy at 9 and 11. The waiter standing behind Hannah at the top of the stairs. Bow tie, 12 o'clock. The other IMF team. You're worried about me. Why?
Suddenly, Cruise is on the run from his own colleagues, and that leads him to form a new team of operatives that has a most unusual target.
IMF mainframe.
Where exactly is it?
In Langley.
In Langley? The one in Virginia, Langley.
Inside CIA headquarters at Langley.
Yes, there's action in Mission Impossible, a rousing train trip through the channel that links England and France. Now, as exciting as that is, I actually preferred the invasion of CIA headquarters by Cruise to that train ride. The breaking in, inspired by the jewel heist picture Rafifi and later repeated by Jules Dassin in Top Cappy, is a superb, nearly silent action sequence that pulls this whole movie together. But my biggest compliments go to Cruise himself. He believes in his stories to such a degree that his conviction in the material bounces off the screen and carries us along too. Ultimately, he's the reason we care about the very convoluted goings-on in Mission Impossible. I had people, Roger, tell me, I don't know what this movie was about.
Well,
they couldn't figure it out.
You know, I don't think you and I know what it was about, because earlier today we had a long discussion trying to figure out exactly what Cruise is doing and why, and it really doesn't matter because it's all surface. This movie is, in a way, the opposite of The Arrival, which was about ideas. In this movie, you'd be very hard-pressed to extract an idea from it. It's all visuals, it's all situations, it's all adventure and spectacle and special effects and suspense, and very done and very well done.
I'm just impressed. This is why these actors, and Harrison Ford is another one, the acting of action heroes is so undervalued by critics and by the Motion Picture Academy, but it pays off.
It's hard to do. It's hard to do. The only thing that I question about this movie is, seeing as I did enjoy it,
I did too,
and I'm giving it a thumbs up, I wonder if it might have been better if they had a plot that anyone could understand. Because I defy anyone to come out of this movie and explain to me or to you or to anybody else exactly what everybody was doing and why.
There's a lot of double dealing. I think I could take a stab at it.
There's a lot of double dealing, but there's also a lot of fudging.
Enter the Mission Impossible sweepstakes only at Foot Locker. You could go courtside with TNT or TBS, home of the NBA playoffs. Then watch for Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible, coming May 22nd.
The film uses Lalo Schifrin's original theme from Mission Impossible. Alan Silvestri was originally hired to write the film score, but his music was rejected and replaced with the new score by composer Danny Elfman. U2's Adam Clayton and Larry Mullen released a version of the theme in the singles charts.
Don't care what it is. You need a hand, I can assure you this. I can help. I got two strong arms, I can help.
This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds. I can understand you're very upset.
You've never seen me very upset. Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible, rated PG-13 from Paramount. Buy it today.
Mission Impossible was released by Paramount Home Video on VHS and Laserdisc on November 12th, 1996.
Your mission is to find the perfect gift. If they're expecting the impossible, now you can give it to them. Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible. The perfect gift. Buy it today where video cassettes are sold.
This is your mission should you choose to accept it.
Simple game. Is this serious?
Always.
It's much worse than you think.
I can understand you're very upset.
You've never seen me very upset.
This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible, rated PG-13, now on sale where video cassettes are sold.
Would you consider the cinema of the Caribbean? Aruba, perhaps.